Mr. Rayan sat behind his large, polished desk, adjusting his expensive watch. The clock on the wall ticked quietly. Another day, another stack of resumes to review. A billionaire and owner of one of the largest hotel chains in the country, Rayan, was used to meeting many candidates. Most of them came dressed in their best clothes, ready to impress with smooth words and well-practiced smiles. But today was different. The heavy rain outside beat against the tall glass windows of his office. The storm had made the streets slippery and empty. Rayan was just finishing his notes on the last interview when his assistant knocked and said, "Mr. Rayan, your next candidate has arrived." He nodded without looking up, expecting another nervous young woman or man in a neat suit. Then the door opened and everything changed. A woman stepped inside. She was soaked. Her thin coat clung to her body, and her dark hair dripped water onto the floor. But it was not her wet clothes that caught Rayan's attention. It was the two children holding her hands. Their faces were pale, their eyes tired, sad. Their clothes were dirty and torn, and they didn't wear shoes. The woman didn't smile. She didn't say a word. She just looked at Rayan, her eyes steady, holding his gaze like she was searching for something deep inside him. Rayan blinked and sat up straighter. "Why did you bring them?" he asked quietly. The woman said nothing. The silence in the room grew heavy. The two children stood quietly by her side, not moving, not speaking. Rayan's mind raced. Why had she brought the children to a job interview? Was she trying to prove something? Or was this some kind of strange test? For a moment he saw a flash of a memory. A cold night many years ago. A little girl standing in the rain, holding someone's hand tightly. He shook his head, pushing the thought away. It was just a memory. Nothing more. "Please," he said, his voice softer now. "This is a business interview. Usually children are not allowed. Why are they here?" The woman finally spoke, but her voice was barely a whisper. "I have nowhere else to leave them," Rayan frowned. She looked strong but tired. The children looked hungry. He thought about his own life, the life of luxury, money, and power. He had never faced hunger. He had never worried where he would sleep tonight. Yet here, in front of him, was a woman risking everything just to get a job. He glanced down at her resume on the desk. It was impressive. She was well-educated, experienced in hotel management, a perfect candidate. But this was not a normal interview. "Sit," he said, pointing to the chair beside his desk. The woman hesitated but moved slowly. Rayan noticed how she held the children close, protecting them from the cold air blowing in from the window. "Tell me your name," he said. "Sarah," she replied. "Sarah," he repeated. "Why did you bring the children here today, instead of leaving them with someone else?" She looked down at her hands. "I have no one else." Her words were simple but heavy. Rayan watched as one of the children, a little boy, coughed quietly. The child's small body shook slightly. Sarah quickly covered his mouth, whispering, "Shh, it's okay." Rayan's heart tightened. This was more than a job interview. This was a struggle for survival. He leaned forward. "Are the children sick?" Sarah nodded. "They have colds. I don't have money for a doctor." For the first time, Rayan saw the truth behind the woman's silence. This was no ordinary interview. It was a mother fighting for a chance to live. The rain continued outside, the storm growing louder. Rayan took a deep breath. He stood up and walked around the desk. He looked into Sarah's tired eyes. "I will help," he said softly. "But first, we need to get the children warm and fed." Sarah blinked in surprise. "I can't promise a job yet," he added quickly, "but you and the children will be safe here for now." Sarah nodded slowly, relief shining in her eyes. Rayan picked up the phone. "Send someone to bring blankets and food. We need to get the children out of the cold." As he hung up, he wondered what had brought Sarah to this point. What story was she hiding? And more than that, why did her face seem so familiar? Sarah sat quietly, holding her children close. For the first time in a long time, she felt a small spark of hope. Outside, the storm raged on. Inside, a new story was beginning, one that would change their lives forever. The hotel room was warm and quiet compared to the cold rain outside. The soft hum of the heater filled the small space. Sarah sat on the edge of the bed, holding the youngest child tightly. The boy's cough had slowed, but he still looked weak. The little girl sat beside her, clutching a worn-out teddy bear, her eyes wide but tired. Mr. Rayan stood near the door, watching them. He had asked his assistant to prepare this room for Sarah and the children. It was a small act, but it felt important. After years of managing hotels, he knew that safety was the first step to hope. He cleared his throat and stepped forward. "Sarah, I want to understand. Why did you bring the children with you to the interview? It's not common. Usually people find someone to look after their kids." Sarah looked up, meeting his eyes. Her face was calm but tired. She took a slow breath before answering. "I have no one else," she said simply. Rayan didn't push for more. He sensed the pain behind those words. Instead, he sat down in a chair, watching her carefully. The children were quiet now, but the little girl suddenly looked up at Sarah and whispered, "Mommy, when will we go home?" Sarah's eyes flickered with sadness. She bent down and hugged the girl tightly. "I don't know yet, sweetheart," she whispered back, "but I promise I'm trying." Rayan's heart ached as he listened. He was a man used to solving problems with money and power. But here was a problem no amount of money could fix easily. He wanted to help, but he also wanted to know the full story. "Sarah," he said gently, "can you tell me what happened? Why are you here like this?" She looked down, her fingers twisting nervously. Then, in a voice barely louder than a whisper, she began, "I had a job, a good job. I worked in a hotel, much like yours. I was proud. But then things changed." Rayan waited. The silence stretched between them, heavy and thick. "I lost my husband in an accident. Suddenly, I was alone, no family, no money. The bills grew, and I couldn't pay." Her eyes filled with tears. "I didn't want to leave my children, but I didn't have a choice." Rayan nodded slowly. He understood loss. He knew pain. The boy coughed again, weak and wet. Rayan reached out. "We will take care of them tonight, but you need to rest. Tomorrow, we will talk more." Sarah shook her head. "I don't want charity, I want a job, a real chance." Rayan smiled faintly. "That's why you came here." The room felt heavy with unspoken words. Then Rayan asked, "Do you have anyone to help you? A friend? A family member?" Sarah's face tightened. "No one." Rayan's mind raced. He was used to power, influence, connections. But Sarah was alone. The little girl hugged her teddy bear tightly, eyes full of fear. Rayan stood up, walking slowly to the window. Outside, the rain was stopping and the sky was clearing. A new day was coming. He turned back to Sarah. "Tomorrow, you will have your interview," he said firmly. "But I want you to know, this hotel is safe for you and your children." Sarah's eyes widened. She nodded slowly. For a moment, they just looked at each other. Two people from very different worlds, connected by pain and hope. Suddenly, Sarah spoke again. "There's one thing you should know." Rayan leaned in, curious. She took a deep breath. "The children, they are not mine." Rayan froze. The silence in the room grew louder. Sarah looked down, biting her lip. They were left alone at the train station. "I found them crying. No one came to take care of them. I couldn't leave them behind." Rayan stared, shocked. Why had she risked so much for children who were not hers? Sarah's voice cracked as she continued. "I don't know their story. I just know they needed me. And I needed them." Rayan's mind was full of questions, but he knew this was only the beginning. Tomorrow, the real interview would begin. But tonight, he promised himself, he would find a way to help Sarah and the children. Because sometimes help begins not with answers, but with caring. The next morning, sunlight spilled through the hotel room curtains. The storm was over, but inside, a different kind of storm was still brewing. Sarah sat quietly on the bed, her two children playing softly on the floor. With the teddy bear and a small, worn-out ball, Mr. Rayan knocked gently and entered. His face was serious but kind. "Sarah," he began, It's time for your interview. Sarah nodded, standing up slowly. The children followed her with small steps. As they walked down the long hotel corridor, Sarah's heart raced. This was not just an interview. It was a chance to change her life and the children's lives. When they reached the interview room, Ryan motioned for her to sit. "I want to hear about your experience," he said. Sarah began carefully, telling him about her past work in hotel management, about the long hours and hard work, about the skills she had learned. Ryan listened, nodding occasionally, but then he asked a question that caught her off guard. "Why did you come here with the children instead of finding someone to watch them?" Sarah's face tightened. She took a deep breath, then looked at Ryan with steady eyes. "There is no one," she said. "No family, no friends. I had to bring them." Ryan studied her carefully. "You seem strong, but this is a demanding job. Are you sure you can handle it with 2 young children?" Sarah's voice was firm. "I will do whatever it takes. I want a better life for them and for me." The interview continued with questions about her skills and experience, but Ryan's mind was partly elsewhere, thinking about the children waiting quietly in the corner. After the interview, Ryan asked his assistant to bring the children some breakfast and toys. Sarah watched them eat with a soft smile, but her eyes held a sadness he could not ignore. "Sarah," Ryan said quietly, "can I ask something personal?" She looked up, curious. "Why did you leave the children at the train station? Why didn't you ask for help sooner?" Sarah's eyes filled with tears, but she did not look away. "It was a mistake," she said. "I was scared. I didn't know who to trust." Ryan nodded slowly. He could feel the weight of her secret, something she was hiding, something painful. "Sometimes," he said, "we have to face our fears to find a way out." Sarah looked at him, hope and fear mixed in her eyes. Ryan made a decision. "I want to help you, but you must promise to tell me the whole truth. No more secrets." Sarah hesitated, then nodded. At that moment, the little boy suddenly started coughing hard again. Sarah rushed to him, holding him close. Ryan called for a doctor at the hotel to check the children immediately. As the doctor examined the boy, Ryan sat back thinking. This was not just about a job. It was about survival, love, and trust. The children were more than just little faces. They were lives depending on Sarah's strength, and now on his mercy. Outside, the city moved on, unaware of the quiet struggle. Inside this hotel room, a billionaire and a desperate mother faced a future full of questions and hope. The hotel room was quiet except for the soft beeping of medical equipment. The doctor had just finished checking the boy. He looked serious but calm. "The child is weak," the doctor said to Sarah quietly. "But with rest and proper care, he will get better." Sarah nodded, relief washing over her face. She gently kissed the boy's forehead. The little girl sat close by, her eyes watching her mother. Mr. Ryan stood by the window, his arms crossed. He looked at the family with new understanding. This was no longer just a job interview. It was about trust. Ryan finally broke the silence. "Sarah, you told me you don't have family or friends to help. Why?" Sarah looked away for a moment. Then she took a deep breath and began. "My family, they don't want anything to do with me. After my husband died, they blamed me, said I wasn't strong enough. They turned their backs on me and the children." Ryan felt a pang of sympathy. "I'm sorry." She wiped a tear from her cheek. "I have been alone for a long time. I didn't know where to go or who to trust." Ryan took a step closer. "I want you to know you can trust me, this hotel, this company. It can be a new start for you." Sarah's eyes searched his face. Could she believe him? Suddenly, her phone buzzed. She looked at the screen, then her face changed. "What is it?" Ryan asked. "It's a message," she said, hesitating. "From someone I didn't expect to hear from." Ryan waited as she opened the message. The message was short but chilling. "You should stop looking for work here. It's not safe for you or the children." Sarah's hands trembled. "I don't know who sent this." Ryan's face darkened. "This is serious," Someone wants to scare you away. Sarah shook her head. I won't leave, I need this chance. Rayan nodded slowly. Then we must be careful. He motioned to his assistant. Increase security around her and the children. No one will harm them here. Sarah felt a mix of fear and hope. Fear for what might come next, but hope that she was not alone anymore. The children played quietly as the rain started again outside. The sound was soft but steady, a reminder that life could be hard, but also full of moments to hold on to. Rayan sat beside Sarah, his voice low but firm. Tomorrow we will continue your interview, but for now rest. You and the children are safe. Sarah closed her eyes for a moment, then looked at the billionaire. Thank you, she whispered. Rayan smiled gently. We will face this together. Outside the hotel, the city lights flickered. Inside, two worlds met, one of wealth and power, the other of struggle and courage, and between them, a fragile trust began to grow. The morning sun shone weakly through the hotel window, casting long shadows across the room. Sarah sat by the small table, quietly watching her children play. Their laughter was soft but bright, a small light in the heavy darkness around them. Mr. Rayan entered the room, holding a folder with papers. He looked tired but determined. Sarah, it's time to talk about your past. If we are going to work together, I need to understand everything. Sarah's face paled. There are things I don't want to talk about. Rayan sat down beside her. I know it's hard, but hiding things will only make it harder for you and for the children. Sarah took a deep breath. All right, I will tell you. She began slowly. Before my husband died, life was normal. We had a small house, enough money and hope. But then the accident happened. He died suddenly, leaving me alone with two children. Rayan nodded, listening carefully. After that, everything fell apart. The house was taken by the bank. My family stopped calling. I was alone. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I tried to find work, but with no money and no one to watch the children, it was impossible. One night I found the two children, those two, alone at the train station. Rayan's eyes widened. They had no one. I don't know their names or where they came from. But I couldn't leave them there. Rayan sat quietly. The weight of her words hung in the room. Why didn't you tell me this before? He asked gently. Sarah looked down. I was scared. Scared you would say no. Rayan reached out, placing a hand on her shoulder. I want to help, Sarah, but I need you to be honest with me. This isn't just about a job, it's about trust. Sarah nodded. Just then, the hotel phone rang. Rayan answered quickly. His face changed as he listened. Is everything okay? Sarah asked. Rayan hung up, his expression serious. Someone called to warn me. They know about the children. They say it's dangerous to keep them here. Sarah's heart raced. Who? Why? Rayan shook his head. I don't know yet, but I promise. We will protect you. He stood up, looking out the window at the busy city below. Sarah felt a cold fear settle deep inside her. The past was not finished with her yet. But this time she was not alone. Rayan was with her, and together they would face the shadows. The hotel felt less like a safe place now. Shadows seemed longer, and the air was thick with tension. Sarah sat on the couch, her children playing quietly nearby, unaware of the worry clouding their mother's eyes. Mr. Rayan paced in the room, phone in hand. His assistant was working hard to find who had sent the threatening message. So far, no clear answers. We can't take this lightly, Rayan said finally. Someone wants to scare you, and maybe even harm the children. Sarah's heart pounded. She looked at the two little faces she loved like her own. Why would anyone do this? What have we done wrong? Rayan shook his head slowly. Sometimes, the past catches up to us, or people don't want others to succeed. Sarah clenched her fists. I won't run. I will fight for them. Rayan stopped pacing and looked at her with respect. Good, because you won't be alone. Later that day, security was tighter around the hotel. Cameras were checked and extra guards were posted near Sarah's room. But that night, Sarah woke suddenly. She heard soft footsteps in the hallway. Her heart raced. She held her children close, whispering, "It's okay, Mommy is here." She peeked through the door's small window. A shadow moved slowly, almost like someone was looking for something. Ryan was alerted immediately. He arrived within minutes, calm but serious. "Are you all right?" he asked softly. Sarah nodded, but her hands trembled. Someone was here. Ryan called security to search the hallways. No one was found. "This is serious," he said. "We must find who is behind this." The next morning, Ryan met with Sarah privately. "I want to help you more," he said, "but you must tell me everything you know about the children. Any small detail could help." Sarah thought hard. She told him about the night she found the children crying at the train station, about the strangers she saw nearby, and the fear that followed her since. Ryan listened carefully. "This is more than a coincidence. Someone doesn't want you here." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "I just want a chance, a safe life for my children." Ryan nodded. "And you will get it, no matter what." They made a plan together. How to keep the children safe, how to protect Sarah, and how to find the truth. Outside, the city was waking up. But inside that hotel room, two people stood strong, ready to face whatever danger was coming. Because when a mother fights for her children, no threat is too big. The morning sun rose slowly, casting warm light into the hotel room. Sarah sat quietly, watching her children play with new toys brought by Mr. Ryan's team. Their laughter was soft and sweet, a sharp contrast to the fear they had known. Mr. Ryan entered with a folder in his hand and a gentle smile on his face. "Sarah," he said, "I have good news. We have found who sent the threats." Sarah's heart beat faster. "Who was it?" Ryan looked serious. "It was a former employee, jealous of your chance here. He wanted to scare you away." Sarah felt relief, mixed with anger. "Why would someone do this?" Ryan sighed. "Because some people fear change, but you showed courage. That's why I want you on my team." Sarah looked at him, eyes full of hope. "Thank you, Mr. Ryan. I won't let you down." Ryan smiled, warmly. "You won't have to. This company will support you and your children." Days passed and Sarah began her new job. She worked hard, learning quickly, and earning the respect of her colleagues. The children started school nearby, their smiles growing brighter every day. One afternoon, Ryan invited Sarah to his office. "I want to offer you something more," he said. "A permanent position with benefits for you and your children." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "I never dreamed this could happen." Ryan shook his head gently. "You earned it." Their bond grew stronger. Not just employer and employee, but two people who trusted each other. Sarah often thought about the journey, the nights filled with fear, the moments of silence, and the kindness of a billionaire who saw her strength. She knew life would not always be easy, but now she had hope. And for the first time in a long time, she felt safe. She whispered to her children one night, "We are going to be okay." Outside. The window, the city lights twinkled like stars, and inside a new chapter began. One filled with promise, courage, and love.